Ike and Reagan demonstrate wonderful restraint, admiration, fully do them. At the same time, we have to recognize that the world is in a kind of freeze at that point because you've got a nuclear-armed superpower over there and a nuclear-armed superpower over here, and the tensions are going to take place just on this narrow border, Taiwan, Korea, and so forth, which Ike froze up. Bush 1 comes along and the Cold War ends. Right. Bush 2 comes along and it's long over. The Soviet Union was never responsible for an atrocity like 3,000 dead on our own soil. Bush 1 and more so Bush 2 are in a completely different situation where the world is suddenly open and dangerous in a way that it wasn't. It was ultimately dangerous. Bush 2 is not facing a nuclear threat like Ike and Reagan, but conventionally the thing is much hotter all of a sudden. What does it avail us? The argument is Al-Qaeda is fragmented. Iran is a crude place, but it represents a functioning democracy, at least for now. We've seen an Arab Spring, which offers the hope of, for the first time in Arab history.
Pretty hopeful on this thing?
Well, it's the hope of some kind of government that bears some relation to the consent of the governed. In other words, you could say that he got us someplace.
Well, the point is we are not responsible for all these things. A lot of these have just occurred. On Afghanistan, I would agree with this, all of us. Once you ran down that massacre of 3,000 Americans to Al-Qaeda, and you tell the Taliban, turn these SOBs over to us or we're going to come get them.
Right.
And the Taliban says, no, we said, we're going to ask you one more time. Turn them over, we're going to come get you. And they don't do it. I agreed 100% with going in there, knocking over the Taliban, going to Tora Bora, capturing or killing the people that did that. But at that point, we should have gone back to Kabul and said, you see what happens when this happens to us, it happens to you. Now, don't let it happen again, or next time it's going to be worse. Goodbye and good luck. What are we doing in there trying to build a nation out of this 7th century civilization over there? You know Burke. What did he say? Men of intemperate minds can never be free. Their passions forge their fetters. Take a look at what's been happening the last week where all these nutballs are running around the street because their holy books were burned. All right? I'm not saying they're bad people and they're very devout and I have nothing against them. But the idea that you can turn that into the, into the
Belgium,
13 colonies is preposterous.
Okay. The suicide of a superpower, quote, the more we shrink our defense perimeter, the greater the gain in national unity behind our foreign policy. All right, let's see. I want to see how far Mr. Buchanan wants to shrink it. We still have 60,000 troops in Western Europe. Get them out of there.
Bring them home.
South Korea, 30-some thousand troops. Get them out.
Bring them out and confine yourselves. Tell the South Koreans you've got an economy that's 40 times as large as the North, population twice as large as the North. We've got about 28,000 troops in there. We're going to take them off the DMZ with their hostages. You put your troops there. American naval and air power will continue to surround the area, but we're not fighting another land war in South Korea.
You want forward naval bases in the Pacific? You want Okinawa, or do you bring them all the way back to Pearl?
I'd get them off Okinawa because we're already, Obama's bringing them off there. They're not going to build that new air base in the north of Okinawa. I would bring them back to Guam. Bring them off these foreign territories where a lot of people are sick of having occupation troops, like when they call them like guests. After 3 or 4 days, they, you get tired of them.
Okay, now let me I just want the distinctions here. So get the ground troops home. What about the United States Navy? You want to build more carriers? You want to shrink? You want to build the Navy down? Or
no. I think the Navy needs to be very, very strong because basically we are an island continent. It's got to be strong because that's one of the you have to be able to project power and force on adversaries. But, as Gates said, Secretary of Defense, anybody that recommends the United States fight another land war on the Asian continent ought to have his head examined.
Which he said at West Point. It's not as if nobody was listening. He chose the audience.
Right, and that's right. But we're not going to send another army. I mean, when I was a kid, we sent 350,000 to Korea, 525,000 to Vietnam. We're not going to do that again.
Iran. Let them have the nuke?
Well, I don't think Iran, I'm not sure Iran. First, I agree with the folks that are saying these people are rational actors. I can't think back in history the last time they attacked anybody. Iran is a country which is between 1/2 and 2/3 Persian. It's got Azeris, it's got Kurds, it's got Arabs, it's got Baluch, all of whom want to break away. They don't want a war, all-out war with the United States, because they could get that in the afternoon. I mean, they could have, my friend, the Saudi ambassador, if they'd blown him up at some restaurant, which I think it's sort of suspicious, this so-called attack on the United States by the Iranians.
Right.
Look, they've had
It's suspicious in the sense that you're not sure the Iranians did it?
I'm not. There was somebody sent some money over from Iran, but the idea that the Ayatollah was behind this, no, I don't believe it. I think they're much more. I mean, these are people that say, you know, if they get close to a bomb, they're just going to throw it. They're going to give it to terrorists, and they're going to blow up Baltimore, or they're going to blow up Tel Aviv, or something like that. Do I believe that? No, I don't. No, I don't. So, basically, I agree with the Obama administration that Joint Chiefs now, the Panetta and the Defense Department, that the United States, they have not made a decision over there in Iran, I think, to put together a bomb. There's no doubt. I mean, once I read my physics book and understood how you put together a uranium bomb, you have knowledge of it that increases if you're working on nuclear power. That's undeniable. But I don't think we want a war with Iran.
Hold on. So the risk would be they get a bomb. They are now untouchable. They can now dominate the region. I mean, they're untouchable.
You think North Korea dominates the region?
I think North Korea is untouchable.
Well,
I think North Korea is in a position.
What have they done with their bomb?
They've kept their people in subjection.
And they kept us from attacking them,
okay.
Which is what Tehran wants.
But let me put the argument. You get Tehran, you give them the nuclear weapon.
I'm not going to give them anything. Go ahead.
You permit them to get you forbear to prevent them from getting a nuclear weapon. You permit them to dominate the region. I'm giving you the argument. Permit them to dominate the region. You put them in a position to blackmail Western Europe with regard to oil. And we've got this guy, Ahmadinejad, who has said a couple times, at least a couple times, of which I'm aware, that he wants to drive Israel into the sea.
Right.
And you've got a population, small country, Israel, 3 correctly so to speak, placed nuclear weapons, and you've got a second Holocaust. There's your danger.
Well, let's start first. Ahmadinejad has got an awful lot of Baghdad Bob in him. He is a BSer. He is out of favor with the Ayatollah. He was just about on the verge of impeachment. He does not control the military, and he's leaving office in the middle of next year. This guy frightens the Americans. Oh, he did have a Holocaust conference that featured David Duke. Okay, we're frightened of this, the United States of America, of Eisenhower and Reagan. All right, I don't believe Iran wants the bomb. I think they want the capability to build a bomb, but I don't think they want it for this reason. They get one, Turks get one, the Saudis get one, the Egyptians get one, and they are Persian and they are Shia in a Sunni Arab world. They get no new security. They're going to intimidate the Israelis? Are you kidding? Israelis got 200 to 300 atom bombs. If somebody's an existential threat to somebody right now, it's Israel is an existential threat to Iran. They're the ones flying planes out to Gibraltar, testing them, flying them toward Greece. They're the ones that are every day in the news who are thinking, we can't take this, we're going to attack them first. I think the Iranians, but they're going to get an atom bomb and what are they going to tell us to do? Get out of the Gulf?
Yeah.
And then we say no.
And
what do?
Things get a little tense.
Yeah, the ball's in your court, Tehran.
All right. Listen, on Israel, you're talking about existential threat.
They're going to attack the United States of America?
You don't want to. You're not comparing Israel with Iran. I mean, Britain has had nuclear weapons. France has had. Nobody calls them an existential threat. So your point is,
who are they?
Let the Saudis, let the Israelis.
I don't say let it. I don't. Look, here's what I would do. First, I would tell the Iranians, and I'm sure we have. Look, they've got the at Natanz and Fordo and all these places. All these things are under IAEA observation by cameras with inspections there, and they're under seal. And you would tell them this is all the enriched uranium. They got it to 5% for the plant, and they do it for 20% because we wouldn't send them the medical, the 20% that you need for medical. I mean, and I benefited from nuclear medicine, as a matter of fact. So we wouldn't send them 20%. What I tell them is, we got this all under lock and key. You guys open that out and you take it out, and anywhere, or we find that you've used these centrifuges to enrich it beyond 20%, and there's only one purpose for that: you're building for a bomb. I think then you have to make
And you're going to rely on the IAEA, the
Well, as long
United
as
Nations, to
the IAEA is taking a
keep
harder line than the Joint Chiefs right now. They got this Japanese fella in there who I think is very much sort of on the hawk side. And so what I would do is I would tell the Iranians, look, quietly, look, we know what you got, we know where you're moving, and if you cross these red lines, and the only reason you would cross a red line like that is if you're intending to build a bomb, then there's going to be a fire bell in the night in the West and in the United States. I wouldn't tell them what I'm going to do. But if they do that, then they've made a decision to go for a bomb. But look, these are tough American military officers who have studied this their whole lives. They say they haven't made the decision to go for a bomb. They haven't, with regard to the uranium, they have not taken any of this uranium out to enrich it to 90%. If they do, I think then you've got a far different situation. But do I want to go to war with Iran? No. And why is this our responsibility?
Okay. But so I've got it now. You're not saying I'll let them have a bomb. You're not saying that. You're saying quietly, using diplomacy and relying on our strength in the background, set up the red lines and let them know where they are.
I think they've been set up, and I think they know where they are.
Okay.
But the problem with here is the Israelis. Now, the Israelis are fearful that Iran will and is developing a capability which could translate down the road into building a bomb. And there's no doubt that is true. And they want, but they can't take out all these plants. And there's an element of absurdity to bombing plants where the IAEA inspectors have all the uranium under seal. And so I think the Israelis are in a hellish situation. What they want to do, I think, is make an attempt, or making some kind of attempt, get the United States, which could do the job, get the United States to do a shock and awe on Iran like we did on Iraq, and us fight that war. But our guys think, correctly I think, that's not in the interest of the United States, because that whole place, that whole region could go up in a Sunni-Shia battle of all against all. And Americans could be killed in Lebanon by Hezbollah. They could be killed in Afghanistan by Iranians. So our people are looking out for our interests, and the Israelis are looking out for their interests. And the point here is, unlike what Governor Romney said, the interests of Israel are here and the interests of the United States are here. And that is the problem you're getting with Netanyahu coming here to talk to Obama. And I happen on this one to agree with the Joint Chiefs and Panetta and President Obama if he's reluctant to take us to war.
Okay.
This is not an endorsement.
Israel is and should be an ally, but they have their interests and we have ours, and they do not always coincide exactly.
That's going to get you in trouble if you make a statement like that,
I'm
Peter.
summing up Patrick J. Buchanan.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
I mean, the Israelis have their own interests in the region. They're much more narrow than ours, because the United States remains a world power. Look, you know, my uncle fought in North Africa, and the Arabs were very, very friendly. And you have Arabs and Muslims, 1.5 billion Muslims, over 300 million Arabs. We have to have, as a great power and a world power, we want good relations with all of those folks. And the American people deeply admire and like Israel. You want good relations with them. But we have different and broader interests than the Israelis do. And often our interests collide. And when they do, you need people who will stand up for the United States, even if it means taking a certain amount of hits in American society. Read Washington's farewell address. It's right in there, Peter.
I'm trying to... Segment 5, The Loyalist. This book, Suicide of a Superpower, cost you a job. MSNBC President Phil Griffin, quote, "I don't think the ideas Buchanan put forth in Suicide of a Superpower are appropriate for the national dialogue, much less on MSNBC," close quote.
Why are you putting these ideas on the air then, Peter?
NBC created a market opening for me. Question, does he really believe that, or is MSNBC just engaging in niche marketing and repositioning themselves to the left?
You know, the truth
What's
is,
going on?
Well, the truth is I had a very good 10 years at MSNBC. Folks, I have friends in front of the camera and behind the camera. I knew this book would be controversial, and the fact that it caused that it caused the breach or caused my departure from MSNBC. I'll let folks decide whether that says something about my book or something about MSNBC.